It'll always be freedom. It'll always be freedom.
Welcome to Conversations in Anarchy. My name is Laura and I'm your host today. From 31st of May to 1st of June, Anarchapulco is presenting the non-conformist series, where 13 plus speakers gonna share their hands-on approach to the challenges we face in life today. So check it out on anarchapulco.com and grab your tickets there. And today, I have one of the speakers with me, and let me welcome Tim James, the founder and CEO of Chemical Free Body, a company dedicated to promoting holistic health through natural detoxification, clean nutrition, and chemical-free living. Welcome, Tim. Thank you for being with us today.
My pleasure, Laura. Thanks for having me.
So, this is what I just read about the chemical-free body. Can you explain us what it is in real life, like what it is in action? What do you guys do?
Well, I think the first thing we do is, it's basically based off of my story. And my story is that I had really poor health. I actually grew up on a small cattle and hay farm in Eastern Oregon. I played baseball at a high level. I ate the standard American diet. I ate processed foods, and I really didn't think anything of it, because I pay taxes. My money goes to the government, to the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, to make sure that the food on the grocery store shelves and the food in the fast food restaurants is good for us. That was my thought process. And but as my childhood went along, I started seeing all these people getting more and more overweight. Like when I was a kid, there was only one overweight kid in my class. I was born in 1973. But nowadays, it's like half the kids in the class are overweight. So by age 37, I'd gained 42 pounds. I had severe gastrointestinal issues, rectal bleeding, eczema on my elbows, my knees, cracking and bleeding there too, staining my shirts, very painful. And, having a bowel movement was a 6 or 7, sometimes an 8 on a pain scale of 1 to 10. And then I finally had to be life-flighted to get an emergency surgery because of my severe gastrointestinal issues, and I had to get an organ removed. And so it wasn't until my friend got cancer, we went to this detox nutrition center later, and I learned how to take care of my body. And from doing that, I learned about all the toxins that are facing us today, from radiation to heavy metal toxicity, which I was also polluted with lead, heavy metal poisoning, and then and chemicals. And this stuff is being sprayed all the time. Pesticides, fungicides, herbicides, larvicides, chemical fertilizers, the glyphosates and the herbicides and stuff like that. People are kind of aware of this, but they're so microscopic you can't see them. And, you get educated on it. And then I typed in these 3 words. I looked up umbilical cord chemical. And you guys can do the same thing. You can type this into your browser when you're done listening to this chat here today. Umbilical cord chemical. And you'll see all the studies that I saw going back to 2005, where every single time they test the blood of newborn babies, the blood serum from these young women having the babies and these young babies, they were finding, they looked for like 400 chemicals. They would find 71% of what they were looking for, about 250 chemicals. And of those, 180 would cause cancer in humans. 212 would cause developmental and brain disorders, as an example. I mean, think about this, the gravity of every single child being born that they tested had over 180 cancer-causing chemicals in the womb already. And then I found out that was just in the blood serum. The chemicals are actually stored in the fat and muscle tissue 500 to 1,000% higher concentrations. And so the older we are, the more time that we've lived on this planet, the more time we've had to bioaccumulate these toxins from the air we breathe, the water we drink, the food we eat, the clothing we wear, the personal care products, the shampoos, the toothpaste, the deodorants, the sunscreens, all this stuff. And imagine just how polluted we are. So I sat back in my chair and I'm like, oh my God, we are all polluted. And so that's how Chemical Free Body got born. It was just, I was trying to find something that I could bring to attention that was like, it seemed like I didn't know about it and everybody I talked to didn't know about this. And if I could bring that to people's attention of these microscopic tiny killers that are just slowly undermining and destroying our health and robbing our vitality and causing all this sickness and disease, then I could tell them about the other two things, which was nutrient deficiencies and also stress. In fact, I did a series for this non-conformist series called the Fear Detox, and I really focused on that because it's definitely something everybody can do at home in their own lives, and they're in complete control of how to, mitigate their stresses and also how to respond differently to those stresses and only get a positive effect out of it. So that requires changing belief systems and stuff like that. But back to the Chemical Free Body thing, it was just this one thing where it's like, if I can just help get people to start detoxification, cleaning up the digestive tract, the organ systems, and learn how to clean up their cells to get the toxins out of the cells so that we can now get nutrition in. Because you can eat really healthy and all that stuff, and the nutrition can be flowing through your blood. And if your cell is plugged full of toxins, the nutrition is just going to wave high and by as it goes by because it can't get in. The room is full. We have got to get toxins out of the cells. And we've watched hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, and now thousands over the last 10 years, get this awareness and start changing things in their lifestyle. Stop putting in the things that cause the problem. Start detoxing, cleaning up their gastrointestinal tract, doing things like colonics and enemas and taking certain types of products. We have a product called Gut Detox. It's an ancient Ayurvedic formula that's made out of 3 raw fruits, and people take it and it micro cleanses the intestinal villi and gets rid of that 6 to 12 pounds of impacted fecal material and garbage and toxins and chemicals that's in there. So that now you have a clean digestive tract, which is what we believe the driving engine of health, the digestive tract and the organ system. So we want to take really good care of our digestive tract. We want to take good care of those little intestinal villi that line the intestines, that move our food through us with that peristaltic action and pull the nutrients in through the intestinal lining and get those nutrients into the blood that will hopefully get into the cell that will drive our activities of daily living and our mental power and our mental capacity. So Chemical Free Body is about bringing awareness to these chemicals, teaching people to stop putting them in, and then and doing what they can to create a lifestyle, a daily detox lifestyle, so that as some of them still come in, because we live in a modern polluted world, we're doing things to kind of balance the scales and always stay ahead of them and just keep sweeping them out, sweeping them out, sweeping them out. Because we know we stop putting the majority of them in by choice because we stop buying products and food products and drinks and stuff like that polluted with them. And then we get clean, good, natural stuff from nature. But there's still some stuff, in the air. I mean, I have an air purification system here in the house that runs 24/7. I do all this kind of stuff, but there's still a little bits of pollution. So when these pollutions are coming in, we want to have a lifestyle to always be getting them out, always be getting them out, always be getting them out. And then the third piece is then reducing and responding differently to stress. So if we can remove the toxins, flood the body with nutrients, and teach people how to live stress-free, they're going to have a much higher quality of life. They're going to live longer, and they're going to be happier and live out and get out of pain and suffering. A lot of people with joint pain nowadays and disorder and disease, and we just want to teach people to become their own doctor, self-doctor themselves, self-govern themselves, and learn how to heal.
Yes, because that's several things that you mentioned, like, for example, this umbilical cord. Like our son, he's 10 years old now, but when he got born, he had this eczema that many babies have. And for me, I was, and my husband, we were aware of, checking what we are eating, not eating so much processed food, reading the labels. And for us, it was like, what? Why is this like this? And because at least as we learn, eczema or any skin issue is like body trying to clean itself. through the skin. And then for us, it was like, and what we feel like we have been so healthy. Why does our kid has these kind of problems from the very beginning of his life? And it was quite tiring and very, very difficult to find any help. Uh, you know, going to the regular doctors and experts, and just getting this. Oh, yeah, just use
Cream.
this cream, yes, and then it's gonna. Oh, he gonna grow out of it.
Did
He's
you figure out what it was?
So in the end, we tried. No, he actually grew out of it. We didn't use those creams. So we were trying, like, physically. We were putting like this little mittens on his hands so he wouldn't scratch himself like to blood, and like really trying to use some natural things to release his kind of condition. But like to get to the core, we were doing different tests, and what we knew that time 10 years ago didn't bring us to the core, you know.
Yeah.
So that is also what I believe that you probably also experienced. And we, like, lately, my husband's grandmother, she died of cancer because she decided to give her health put her health in the hands of the medical practitioners and follow their protocol. And what it and I think it was less than a year, and she's dead now.
Mm-hmm.
And because she just trusted the system, and it is, so I can understand how awful it can be to look how the close people. I mean, we cannot influence them to do something differently if they don't want to, but
Well, and I want to actually
actually,
bring up a really good point, because you and your husband were trying to be as healthy as possible and eating healthy and doing all this stuff. And this still happens today. This is what I was talking about. This is why there has to be a lifestyle of daily detoxification, because we have people that are very healthy that still get sick. They still get sick themselves, or they breed sick children. And they're like, but I'm doing all this stuff. And it's like, okay, well, if ideal health is a let's just say a three combination lock, and you're doing two out of the three, you're not going to unlock ideal health. You don't have the last code, right? And so, are you completely detoxed? And then in that, there's subcategories of all the different things: heavy metals, radiation, pollution, yeast, mold, fungus, parasites, right? And as far as nutrition goes, then you've got, not just vitamins and minerals and trace minerals, but phytochemicals, oxygen, hormones, enzymes, and frequency. Frequency. Everything's going now to sound and frequency medicine, because we're understanding that our bodies and our cells we're just vibrational frequencies. And so is disease. And these things can be treated with such. And then you have stress, right? And you could be very healthy, but if you're all stressed out because you're in a poor relationship, or you have financial stress, or whatever, maybe you have generational stress. Something I've learned in the last couple of years, that it could have been stress from a great grandmother, and that's been passed down through, and it's still in your cells. And this stuff is real. It's like it's actually happened. So when you that's why it's so important, or excuse me, why we have people that are maybe young and healthy, but they still have these problems. They might have a child born with eczema, right? So there's a lot to go through. Like, I'll just give an example. When I bring on a client, we go from the top of your head to your toes, and we look at everything. It's like, do you have mercury fillings? Did you get a root canal? Do you have cavitations? A lot of people don't even know about this. This could be the biggest takeaway out of this whole talk today, if anything, is like, maybe you've been having severe health issues your whole life, and you do all the healthy stuff and you can't figure it out. Have you looked at your mouth? Like, a lot of people don't know that when they get, mercury fillings, a lot of people know about that, the amalgams. Mercury is like the second most toxic substance on the planet, yet it's okay to mix it with a few other metals and stick it in your mouth, right? It just doesn't make sense. But people get those removed and they get better, right? But they have to be removed properly. But a lot of people don't know about root canals. What's going to happen is you go to a dentist, a standard dentist, and they're going to be like, Well, I got some good news and some bad news. What do you want to hear first? Well, give me the bad news. Well, the bad news is that your tooth is compromised, it's infected, and we probably need to pull it and get rid of it. Oh, geez. Okay, well, what's the good news? Well, if you want, we can save it with a root canal. What do you want us to do? Well, give me a root canal. You've just raised your hand and you've signed up for a 24/7 systemic or internal infection that's going to destroy your immune system and your life force. Because inside of our teeth, our front teeth have about 2 to 3 miles of these things called dental tubules. They're like long caves that just go on and on because they're microscopic. Bacterium can stack 6 wide inside of these microscopic caves. The larger teeth in the back can have up to 7 to 9 miles of these dental tubules. So all these microscopic porous caves that run all the way through the teeth. And so when you get a root canal, they're going to go in there and clean out all the infection, everything, they think, and then they seal the tooth up. Well, there's always a little bit left behind. And then what ends up happening is it starts multiplying and filling up those dental tubules. Once the dental tubules are full, then it starts spilling out where? Inside of you. And now you have this infection. So imagine, when you get a sliver in your finger, what does your body do? It creates an infection and it pushes the sliver out. We all know this. But now you have an infection in your mouth and your body can't push it out. It's just there. Same thing with like a breast implant. You get a breast implant and you created a 24/7 infection. The body's trying to get that breast implant out. There's a book called The Naked Truth About Breast Implants by Dr. Susan Kolb. Anybody contemplating getting a breast implant or already has them, if you already have one, you need to read the book and you need to get scheduled to get the breast implants removed. You are destroying your health. And unfortunately, we've traded our vanity for this stuff. But back to the teeth. Then the last thing, oh, and by the way, I've talked to people about root canals for years. Every single client of mine for over a decade that I've talked to this to has pulled the tooth, even if it didn't hurt. If the tooth feels fine. Every single one pulled the tooth, completely infected. And you might have some dentists that won't even pull it. They're like, there's nothing wrong with it. I can't pull the tooth. You're going to have to probably go find a good biological dentist. And you can find them at IAO, M as in Mary, T as in Tom.org, IAOMT. That's International Academy of Medicine and Toxicology. Find a good biological, smart certified dentist in your area and get a complete workover, and then they can check for that, and they'll pull that root canal and then fix it with a bridge or an implant and do it properly. But what I did learn.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Is it only United States or like the whole world?
I don't know. I think it's just in the United States. I have no idea. But I know you can search that directory in the United States. I do know that there's some really good dentists and Swiss dentists. They have some really good dentistry over there. And some of those Swiss practices are now down in Mexico. A lot of people in America and stuff like that, it's because it's very expensive to do this stuff. So what people will do is they go to these other places and they get what are called dental or vacations. So they go have a vacation for like 2 weeks, get their dental work done, and they have a vacation and get the dental work done. And it's like half the price. But then I have also heard sometimes that if you get your teeth fixed down there and then you come back up here, like the dentist up here really can't assume the liability of what you just did. So you just gotta. It's a tough situation, and it's just really unfortunate.
It is really tough because to find a practitioner that is like close, it is really a journey.
Well,
like,
but let me explain exactly how important this is, because let's go to the next one. So we talked about amalgam fillings, getting those removed. I've done that. Root canals, I didn't have any, thank God. And then cavitations. So cavitations, most people today are getting what removed? Their wisdom teeth. They're crowding out. And I think the reason why that's happening is the jaw is getting smaller because we're not out in nature chewing hard enough things anymore. We're getting soft, basically. So if you don't use it, you lose it. So the jaw is actually getting smaller, and those teeth are getting crowded. So they're pulling out teeth that God put in there that should probably still be in there. They pull them out, and the dentist unknowingly are leaving small fragments of bone or ligaments or tendons in where they pull those pockets where they pull them out, and then they seal them up and stitch them, and then it starts doing the same thing, and infection begins. So how I learned this? Well, about 2013, I had a client come to me. She's in her mid-30s, 2 little kids, and a husband, and he was doing well financially, so they could actually afford. I was teaching detox and nutrition classes in my home, and we were growing sprouts and delivering wheatgrass and sunflower and pea sprouts to about 40 to 60 mostly cancer patients per week, so they could get living nutrition, this food medicine, which, by the way, sprouts are 10 to 30 times more nutritious than fresh picked vegetables. So think about that. You can have a handful of sunflower sprouts. That'd be like eating 30 handfuls of fresh cut kale out of the best garden with the best nutrients ever, best soil ever. That's a pretty powerful statement. Because the people that live the longest and are the healthiest eat the most nutritious food, but they eat the least amount of food, but it is the most nutritious. Okay, so this gal's sick. She's doing sprouts. She's doing sprout juice. She's doing wheatgrass shots. She's wheatgrass enemas, colonics. She has bought a hyperbaric chamber. She's doing everything she can. It completely changed her whole life. She's still thin hair, white and pasty, exhausted, feeling terrible. So we start looking at dental, and told her about amalgam fillings and root canals. Well, somehow, by the grace of God, she found somebody or a dentist that actually knew about cavitations, or somebody mentioned it to her. So she found this Dr. Panipur up in Bellevue, and at the time, I believe there was only 5 dentists in the entire United States that could even read the x-rays to even know what cavitation was. So even all the good dentists they didn't even know what it was. They weren't taught about it. So she finds this guy, schedules her for surgery. She gets a surgery on one of them. She had 4 cavitations. All 4 of her wisdom teeth had infections. First one done, second one done, third one done. The second that 4th cavitation was done, that infection was removed, the color came back in her face, her hair starts growing in thick, and she started to heal. Now, how many of us are walking around with health issues today that have had our wisdom teeth pulled, and no doctor, anybody has ever talked to them about this? This is like, you have to go get your amalgam fillings, your root canals, and your cavitations tended to, because your oral microbiome and your oral health is connected to your neural health. It's connected to your cardiovascular system, your heart health, and it's also connected directly, the oral microbiome, to your gut microbiome and your gut health. Our body is a bunch of interconnected systems, and if one is really down bad, it's going to affect all the other ones. Brain fog, heart issues, cardiovascular issues, and gut issues could all be happening in the mouth. In fact, I just interviewed a chiropractor, not too long ago, a couple weeks ago, and he said he learned about this, and he had to become almost like a dental expert, because he would be working on people and be like, hey, look, you have to go get this root canal out, or I cannot give you any more benefit. You have this thorn in your side, and until you pull the thorn out, you're not going to get better. And so he would try to line them up like I do and send them to good biological dentists. And if they did the job right, he'd be like, great, they get better. But if they didn't, he'd send them back, and he's like, you got to get a different dentist. They didn't do it properly. The dental stuff has got to be looked at. It has to be looked at.
So this is really great to hear about doctors like this, because usually the doctors, they kind of look only on their sphere and they don't connect anything else. So holistic approach is still not so popular among the health practitioners that we have experienced also in our life. But we were really lucky, because there were our dentist that is not biological dentist, but she is like really interested in many things that made us aware of some other issues that our son was having. And yes, so you have not only the homepage that is chemicalfreebody.com, but you are also having this podcast. Like, is it like once a week? You have a
Yeah,
show?
we've been releasing a show once a week since the fall of 2019. I think we're at like 270-ish episodes. Been doing a long time. It's called Tim James Unleashed. It used to be called the Health Hero Show, but everybody was looking up my name and they couldn't find me, so we just changed it to my name because it was easier to remember for people. So Tim James Unleashed. It's also on our website at chemicalfreebody.com. You can click the media there. We have a media player, so you can listen to all the past episodes right there, or you can consume it. It's on all the major podcast platforms. So chemicalfreebody.com is basically, we do coaching and education, private one-on-one coaching. I also do group coaching now. Been doing it for 6 years. We call it our Inner Circle. I teach it every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. And I teach on a topic, and then we do live Q&A. So people get to come and ask questions and, how do I take this product? Or I got this health issue, or my dog's got this, or, they're trying to do this in my school zone, or, I'm trying to improve my spiritual path, or I need to learn how to meditate. We're actually into regenerative farming. I live in a farm. So we're creating a regenerative farm educational center, community garden, living food forest. All this stuff is happening right now. Very excited about it. We have a huge mushroom grow that we're getting ready to launch, edible mushrooms and stuff like that, and medicinal mushrooms. Very exciting, because I've almost got almost a half an acre of bark chips now, all tilled up. Everything's seeded with mycelium, and I've got a mushroom expert coming out. So we got lots of cool stuff there. So coaching and education is really important. And then as far as our store, how we make our money is we provide really high quality herbal, detox, and nutrition products formulated by Dr. Scott Treadway. So these things are, highest quality materials, super concentrated. A lot of the gals like Miranda and them, people got to experience at Anarchapulco. I had Green 85, our juice formula. It is so concentrated. You'd have to eat 5 to 10 bags of other grains to get the nutrition out of this thing. I mean, just the first ingredient alone, we take 33 pounds of wheatgrass, fresh cut, and squeeze it to make the juice, and then dry it to get 1 pound of wheatgrass powder. So 33 to 1 concentrate. Massive concentrations. And then we have a nano silver line that's really special. That you can actually, it's the first silver that I found you can actually drink orally that doesn't kill your gram-positive microbiome. This is like, for me as a health coach, is like groundbreaking, because now we got something that can work on mold and yeast and fungus and even a few parasites, but in bacterium that shouldn't be there, and start clearing that out. And now we have our structured water system. So we have one of the world's only certified structured water units, and you can completely hydrate yourself to the nth degree with less water. And you can also, plants and animals love it. Almost all gardeners and farmers and microgreen growers are using it or doubling their crops. It's quite significant. We've actually have soil tests where the glyphosate is getting destroyed in the soil when this water is applied to it. And so we have tests going on right now at Ohio State University inside their building with another lab to find out, is it destroying the glyphosate in the solution, or is it activating bacterium to then are destroying it in the soil? We don't know yet. So we're in the middle of finding that out. But that's what we do.
And that's really interesting to hear, because one other speaker, Marjorie Waldcraft, that's going to be on the non-conformity series, she's not going to be talking about that, but she has mentioned also something else that's not the water. I think, if I understood correctly, some microbiome.
No, there's soil amendments. So that's Dr. Will and Pat Miletich. Pat Miletich is a former UFC Hall of Famer, world champion fighter for the MMA. He's actually one of our ambassadors, and he brought me a really good fulvic humic, and I actually have Dr. Will's soil amendments that you're talking about. So what Marjorie did is she took 2 raised beds and of vegetables and stuff, and then she put glyphosate in one, added Dr. Will's amendments to it, and then she had another bed she put PFAS in it, the forever chemicals, and added the things to it. Those biological organisms went in there and destroyed the PFAS and destroyed the glyphosate. And she has proof because she had it tested. We're sending her right now, or we did, I think Nick sent it out. We're sending her one of our Water Hero units. She's going to do the exact same thing. She's going to put the raised beds up and then just water the toxic-laden plants that have been treated with glyphosate and PFAS with our water system, and then just see what happens. Right, so she's going to be doing her own test. Now, like I said, we know the glyphosate's going to work, because when you go to our homepage and you read all about it, you can scroll down there and it talks about the glyphosate test, and it shows that it worked, and we have it right there. But Yeah, so I'm really excited to get Marjorie on the system. How cool would it be to have a water system where farmers that are not wanting glyphosate on their land, but the farmer next to them is still spraying, they could cut a hole in their pipe, insert one of these units, and just start watering their crops, which they're already doing. And if they get overspray or drift from wind, it'll just knock it out, so that then they could still have a certified organic crop with no extra effort. They don't have to do anything, like not even a soil amendment, no extra cost except for the initial cost of buying the unit to, water your crops with. So it's really exciting stuff. It really is, because it really is increasing the soil microbiome, micro diversity in the soils with this water stuff. So the goal for Chemical Free Body was always to bring education to people, because everything that we do it takes an education, because we're doing things that are different than the norm. This isn't standard issue stuff, and there has to be a little bit of an educational component to it, because it's different and people need to be educated on this stuff. Like, why am I taking this? And it's like, why would I do that? And then you explain to them, like, oh, wow. And then, okay, now I get it. And then they do it, and then they feel it. And once they feel it and they understand it, then they're like, oh, great. We want people to have the healthiest. Chemical Free Body is about clean air, clean water, clean food, clean clothing, clean personal care products, everything nature, your body's nature. You should immerse yourself in nature and get away from the man-made chemicals and the man-made stress and all this other garbage, and just let your body's innate healing systems kick in, and people heal. And usually we're not doctors, we don't claim to be, but when people take our products and follow our advice, usually within 6 to 8 months to a year, 80% of the people that have issues, they don't have issues anymore. Now, once we've cleaned up the cells, cleaned up the gut, flooded the body with nutrition, doing all this stuff, for the people that still have issues, it's very clear what issues you have now. And now you might need a specialized therapist or a specialized supplement or you might even need targeted radiation or something like that. So some of the Western medical stuff can help in an emergency situation. It's just the misuse, the overuse, and the abuse of it, which is causing the problems today.
Mm. So could you tell more about your product? Because, if I would interview anyone who is producing or distributing health products, they would promise that that's the best that you can get, and that's the best, on the market, and why you should use it. So could you tell us why your products?
Yeah,
really
absolutely.
are?
Well, and the first thing is as a consumer, the reality is that until you try it and get first person experience, you don't know. It's all just hearsay. It's me babbling or somebody other talking head babbling about their products. You don't know until you try it. The first thing that I'll say is, like, all of our detox and herbal products and even our nano silver products, I put a double your money back guarantee on them. Like, who does that? Like, it's a double your money back guarantee. Why? Because I've been using them for a long time. I originally got, here's how they came about, okay, and why I love Dr. Treadway and why this stuff works so well. Dr. Treadway went to medical school to become a medical doctor. His whole family's like, Scott's going to be the medical doctor. He's the golden child of the family, all this stuff. So he goes to Cornell University to become a medical doctor, and in his early 20s, he walks out of there and says, I am done with this. This is not medicine. This is not helping people. To have the foresight at that age and to do that, and to the ridicule from parents and family and all the money that was put into that. So he goes to naturopathic school. And I have a lot of naturopathic doctors that are awesome. I support them. No offense to what I'm going to say, because it's just his story. He goes to naturopathic school and he's like, close but no cigar. So then he's like, where's the oldest medicine on the planet? So what he ends up doing is he goes to Australia, because Australia's landmass is 1 million years older, right? So he starts trying to get in with the Aboriginals over there, and they won't let him in. He was there for quite some time, well over a year. And finally, he had to leave because they wouldn't share the knowledge with him because he was white. And they were afraid Big Pharma was going to come in and start raping their land if they were to give away what they had learned, which they've done in many other places. Just trying to think. What's that stuff? I have some right here. I can't even think of it right now. Ivermectin. right? Which is originally from Japan. And the soil, they burned the soil so that, because that soil microbiome or whatever was amazing, and they synthesized it. And so then they went and destroyed the mother source so that you can only get the synthesized version out. It's amazing. So they will rape the land and burn it literally and do that kind of stuff. So then he's like, okay, they won't let me in here. Where's the next oldest medicine? Well, it was India. So he goes to India, and he's over there. And he ends up meeting this gentleman who owns all these herbal clinics, and he's like the guru for all the dignitaries. He's their doc. He's their healer. And he said, will you take me on as a student? He said, yes, I will. He picked up on Scott's energy. So Scott started studying under this gentleman for quite some time and became a master herbalist in Indian herbology, Ayurvedic traditional medicine, which is based and steeped in 10,000 years of biological engineering system science. So when engineers do stuff, they can't make mistakes. Otherwise, people die. They make bridges and planes and roads and stuff like that. And so that engineering system science was really, so 10,000 years of trial and error, finding out what works and what doesn't. And then that guy had to go do something. So Scott was then handed off to, that guy had him train under his mentor. So the way I looked at it was like he trained under Obi-Wan Kenobi, and then he got handed off to Yoda, and then he got trained over there with that guy. And then he trained in Chinese herbology and also in Western herbology. So he became a master herbalist in Indian herbology, Chinese herbology, and Western herbology. He comes back to the United States, opens up a clinic, and for 10 years, he's got a line of people out the door. His word spread and what he was doing. And then after 10 years, he realized he couldn't even make a dent in the need. He's like, how can I take this knowledge that I've acquired and get it out to the masses? And he's not a marketing guy at all. He likes to meditate and help people and help citizens. That's all. And he was actually a Marine too. He was a former Marine, so military veteran. And so he says, wow, I can go to these big supplement companies and give them my formulas, and through their distribution network, through all these stores and doctors and places and pharmacies, they can get my supplements, these herbal products, out to people and really change people's lives. So he did that. So he became a contract formulator for about 17, 18, 19, 20 of the biggest supplement companies. The problem was they always changed his formulas. I'll give you an example. If the formula required vitamin C, and he had it from the camu berry, or maybe he had it from rose hips or the arceola cherry or amla berry, whatever form he wanted for that formula, they would replace it with a synthetic version of ascorbic acid because it's cheaper, but it's not going to deliver the results. Or they would put toxic magnesium stearate that blocks absorption of nutrition as a flow agent for the encapsulation machines, but it has nothing to do good with your health. Or silicon dioxide, another flow agent, binder, filler, that's a level 3 toxin on the EPA's toxin list. Yet it's in most supplements. People need to check their labels. So we actually have an ebook guide on how to read supplement labels because it's kind of dangerous, right? It's like having cat poop and a brownie recipe. Do you want to eat cat shit? Most people don't. Well, but it's just a little teeny bit, and these brownies are really good. No, thank you. I'm not eating those brownies, okay? But we do it all the day long with food and supplements, you see? So
yeah, because we are not aware.
Yeah, so Scott's getting ready to retire. I'm searching, trying to find a formulator to make this green juice product for me. And finally, I called a guy, and I was like, hey, you guys have a really good natural line. I need a formulator. And he's like, oh, you should talk to Dr. Scott Treadway. It's a friend of mine. He goes, he helped us launch our line in the very beginning. And I was like, oh, great. He hooked me up with him. Now, I was looking for a supplement company that manufacturer understood life force, energetics, the chi, the prana, the life force, the electron activity, enzymes. And you can measure that with something called Kirlian photography. So they have these devices that can measure life force of anything. And you can see like the glow and the aura that comes off whatever substance you're looking at. And in a book called Supplements Exposed, there's a picture of ascorbic acid, and there's a picture of a vitamin C, ascorbic acid, synthetic, and vitamin C from I think it was arceola cherry or camu berry. And there's the pictures of it with Kirlian photography. And every single time, you can put that in front of a 6-year-old child and go, which one do you like better? And every single time, the child's going to go, boop, and they'll point towards the natural version. Without question. Okay, we have instincts that were bred inside of us and we've been derailed, right? The child knows what's better for him with his instincts. And so I asked Scott, and I'd asked over 30 formulators and labs, do you have Kirlian photography? Nobody even knew what I was talking about. They would turn their head sideways like a dog, like hearing a weird noise. And I finally asked Scott, I go, do you have Kirlian photography? He's like, oh, yes, we have 2 of those machines at the lab. I'm like, okay, you're my guy. And so Dr. Treadway became not only our formulator, but he became a mentor of mine. And he taught me about the purity and the formulations and how nature is the solution, because we are nature. And your entire body is made of nature. Bones are made of minerals. You get those from the soil, water that's out in lakes, rivers, streams, ponds. You know, even the gut microbiome, same bacterium that are in the soil, what's in our gastrointestinal tract. So I basically just piggybacked off his 41 years of being a master herbalist and creating these formulations, and his 20 he said it took him 21 years just to get the proper raw materials, all of his sourcing. So this farm, that wholesaler, this wholesaler, to get the ingredients that the quality that he wanted. My whole company was based on his back. I didn't come up with this stuff. It was all him. I was just looking for myself personally for the absolute best to put into me and to my coaching clients, because I was never going to take this out to millions of people. It was just to have supplements so that when I recommended something for a coaching student, we didn't have to wait 6 months later, look at the label and see that the company had changed something. And this kept happening. Like I found xanthan gum in a protein powder one time. And I'm like, what's xanthan gum? I looked it up and it said mutated corn syrup fermented in bacterium. I was like, used as an emulsifier so that when you shake your drink, it doesn't separate. Because God forbid you got to shake your drink twice, right? But then xanthan gum actually eats the intestinal lining of your digestive tract. And now if you're taking something every day, do you want to take something to build your health that eats your intestinal lining? I don't think so. But that's what they did, and they did not notify me or my clients. They just put it in there. They changed it. So I had to call all my clients and tell them, don't send this one back. Use the old one, but this has got xanthan gum in it. And I got tired of doing that. So that's why I started building the product line out, was just to have a little small orders on my shelf in my garage for my coach, and I'd ship it out myself. And I shipped out in the beginning myself for a couple of years. And then it started growing, and I was like, I can't ship all this products out all the time because of word of mouth, right? And now we're shipping out thousands of packages.
So that sounds like a crazy amount of job. How do you manage that? I mean, so like the whole
Well, I
thing.
hired people, and now we have a fulfillment center, a third-party fulfillment center, and I have 5 different labs that I work with. I love the people that are over there. They're great, and we just have the products manufactured. I have printers and label. We have an in-house designer now, so we've been going through and redesigning everything. We create our own labels, and then we just send the labels to the lab, and they mix our formulas and wrap them in the labels, put them in big and ship them on trucks to our third-party fulfillment. Our clients interface on our website at chemicalfreebody.com. They place their orders, and we drop ship it directly from our fulfillment center right to their home.
And what I also want to mention to our audience is that you guys have this really great thing on your homepage about your products, that there is a little video about it, about every product, that where it's like short but explain how, like, why is it important, what's in it, and how to use it.
My videos that I did for the product on the product page you were talking about.
Yes.
Yeah. I take the time to educate people because, like I said, the videos, they were my marketing people beforehand were telling me you have to keep these like short, around 3 minutes, or people lose their attention. I'm like, I can't get that across in 3 minutes. Okay, if somebody's really interested in buying our product, and they have an issue, they can spend 5-10 minutes and listen to my video, because I have to explain it thoroughly so that they get it and make sure it's a fit for them. And here's the thing: is like not all of our products work for everybody, but they work pretty good. That's why we have that double your money back guarantee, because 98% of people up the middle, they're working very good because of Dr. Treadway's genius and the blends that he put together, and the raw materials are high quality. But if it doesn't work, we just refund your money, we get you a different one, or we actually will point you to a different company. We have no problem doing that. Your job as a self-governing individual is to become your own doctor and learn how to self-heal. We're just part of the tools in your toolkit. You might need some different tools. I actually take supplements from other companies too. There's stuff that I don't make, or there's proprietary stuff that I like that works on my body that I take. And I do that. And we're very open about that.
So, like, for some of the people, me included, this can sound like, oh my God, there are so much information that I have never heard about. Like, there's so many things to get to know about from your podcast, because you are talking to so many different amazing people there. But what would be like the three simplest but very important things for a regular person to start with, like from today? What would you suggest?
And this is for somebody that they just
So
want to
somebody,
get
for example, like me, I have been following what I'm eating. I have been like conscious about many things, but you know, I obviously there are so many things that I still don't know, and I mean, there's always gonna be, because there is a new knowledge also coming.
Well,
So
we actually
what,
have a
like a
we have a
person that is not eating any processed food and is aware, maybe growing their own food in their backyard garden or something like this, like the people that are already doing something, but probably there is something that, like, I think that I am conscious and doing things right, but probably there's something I'm using that is totally not good for me,
yeah.
I
Well,
don't know,
that's a
like
very
some
good
kind of oil or some kind of, I don't know, something.
Okay. So, and that's actually a very good observation from you, being open-minded that you don't know something properly and you're open-minded to change. And so the first thing is people loving themselves enough to make their health a priority. The only reason you don't have good health right now is you have not made your health a priority yet, or you have not gotten the right information. And the only way you can lose is if you quit and stop seeking. So self-love and prioritizing your health, because your health is important, because this is the vehicle that gets you to do all the other things that you want to do with your life. Whether it's, take your child down to the park and play with them, or go fishing, or go quilting, or go sing in a choir, whatever you want to do, play violin, hang out with your friends, spend some alone time in the forest, whatever. It works better when your body feels good. You have vitality and energy, and you don't ache and pain. So it's funny you brought this up, because I had 5,500 people to my classes in my home, where we did these detox nutrition classes, and I sold about 5,500 juicers for these juicing companies. We'd make them a fresh shot of wheatgrass, and then I make them a sprout juice with cucumber and celery, sunflower pea sprouts, and have them drink that and go sit down, and I would teach this detoxification class. Afterwards, then we'd eat. We'd make a living food dinner with sprouts and all kinds of healthy stuff, and then we'd sit and talk. 5,500 people. Now, I went over to a friend's house who was a CPA, and he was so excited because he saw me lose my 42 pounds. He saw Charles lose 60 pounds, and then eventually Charles heals himself with cancer naturally. This is my friend. No surgery, no chemo, no radiation, nothing. Just changed his lifestyle. And so Chad's like, dude, I'm doing this. I'm all in. I got to lose this weight. I'm sick of it. So he buys a juicer. I go over to his house a couple months later, and I'm in the kitchen. He's like, I gotta do something, go to the bathroom or get something. He's coming, and he walks away, and I'm looking around. Where's the juicer at? That's what I'm thinking. I'm like a investigator when I go to people's house. I always like opening up people's refrigerators and seeing what's in there, and looking in their cupboards and their pantries, because that gives me data. And I keep seeing that. I became like, and I would actually take people on 20 people at a time to grocery stores and show them how to shop healthfully. Right. And so I always scanning the shelves and looking and reading ingredients. I would nerd it out on this for years. So Chad leaves. I'm looking for the juicer. He comes back and I go, hey man, where's your juicer? He's like, oh, geez, well, yeah. He's looking around for it. And he's like, oh, here it is. It was down underneath the cupboard in the back, and he pulls it out. And I'm like, that thing doesn't look like it's been used at all. I'm like, are you juicing every day? You're supposed to juice twice a day. And he's like, you know the program. He's like, oh, well. And then finally he's like, I'm like, why aren't you juicing? And I was like pissed because he's a friend of mine. I'm like, we've given you like, here's the keys to the Golden Palace, and you're not even doing it. And he's like, well, I don't want to clean the damn juicer, and I can't get my wife to do it. Because when you first start doing it, it takes about 45 minutes from start to finish to make the juice and clean it, and you drink the juice and move on. Now, I'd done it so much, I could make wheatgrass shots and green juice for me and my wife and have the juicer cleaned 17 minutes flat. Like, I made it a game. How quickly could I do it? So I developed a system, right? I could do it in 17 minutes. He never got to that point because he gave up. And so I learned that I was like, wow. So I started interviewing everybody, and only 1 out of 10 people were still juicing. And the only ones that people were juicing had usually severe issues or cancer. So they had their back against the wall and a gun to their head. So they were doing it. And so I realized that I really wasn't helping people. I could make them feel good coming to my house and drinking the juice and having the meal. They might have changed a few things, but if they weren't going to flood the body with the greens twice a day, they weren't going to get the same results that they told us at the Institute. They were emphatic about it. If you don't drink 2 green juices a day, you're not on the protocol. You're not going to experience the results. We are nutrient deficient. It is not in the foods anymore. So I made a big deal about that. And so I realized I had to meet people where they're at. And that's why we came up with the green juice. But before I did that, I was thinking to myself, okay, they're not juicing. So what are the 3 things that I could get people to do that could take the least amount of effort, yet it would produce the most results in their life? What are those 3 things? And I came up with these 3 things originally, and we added one more. Now we have an ebook called The 4 Core Secrets. You can get that from Stephanie. We'll send you a link, and you can give it out to everybody for free. We sold them for $67 for years. And all of our paid private coaching students, we coach right out of that manual. All right. The first one is water. People are not drinking adequate amounts of water. In fact, 95% of people are not drinking enough water, and what water people are drinking is polluted. It's got toxins in it. And so that's not good. So we teach people how to clean up their water. This is the only one that might cost a little bit of money because might get some water purification systems or something like that in your home, a distiller, whatever, deionization or whatever. One of our water hero systems would be very smart for the structuring component. The second one was chewing your food until liquefied. 96% of people are not doing it. And guess what? It's the first domino in digestion. When you chew your food really, really, really good, you have 2 ducts in your upper mouth and 4 in the lower mouth that secrete these things called enzymes called lipase and amylase. These break down your fats and your starches. Most of digestion starts in the mouth. You have to preload your food with enzymes. Then when you swallow it, the enzymes in your stomach then break your food down. If there's very little or no enzymes there because you just engulfed your food and you didn't chew it well, your stomach's going to work and work and work and work and take your energy from your activities of daily living just to process your food, right? Now, for those of you wondering how the protein gets digested, in your stomach you have something called pepsin and hydrochloric acid, so you don't have to worry about that. But if you don't chew your food well, you end up with gut rot. You end up with fermentation and gut rot. And putrefaction. But if you chew your food really, 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 really well, like till it's liquefied, you've got so many enzymes in there, your food's going to digest very good. And all that energy that you are using unintentionally to digest your food can be rerouted back to your activities of daily living. So you have more energy.
So let's stop at this one, to chew the food really good. This has been my sin, if I can call it like this. For
it was just a choice. Let's just call it a choice.
Time. I mean, I have realized me sometimes, because I am eating 2 times a day. But sometimes, especially if it's like, okay, I have to go and pick up the kids from somewhere or something. I'm like, okay, I need to eat now because this is my meal time. And I'm just catching myself like, oh my God, Laura, you're just, eating like a hungry dog or something, you're not chewing your food at all almost. I'm just like,
And you're
And
also eating in a fight or
yes,
flight state.
yes, exactly. Because it's like, okay, 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 I need to do it. It's almost like not enjoying the food, but just okay, get it done, you know, just do it. And then I have done that, and then I'm not having this hunger or feeling bad that I'm eating too late or something. Yes. So because our time is coming to an end, and so let's start to chew our food properly and be conscious about that we are eating and to actually enjoy the food.
Just eat fresh
And
food. Try to get your food fresh. Chew your food well. Avoid liquids with meals. I won't get into it. Avoid liquids with meals. Stop drinking an hour before you eat and 2 hours after you're done eating. And then do some breath work prior to eating to calm down your nervous system so you can rest and digest mode. That's in the manual. They can read all about it.
and remind us once again what's gonna be your talk about on the non-conformist series.
That will be the fear detox. The fear detox and how to reduce stress in your life and respond differently to stress so you can add years of quality life to your
I'm
to
looking
yourself.
so much forward to that because I have noticed that my poor health, my aches, like physical aches, are coming from stress, everyday stress. Despite my life is, I think, in comparing with many others, could be so calm and beautiful if I would not cause this stress in my head. Yes, thank you so much for being with us today. I'm really looking forward to listening to you on the Non-Conformist series, and you guys listening to us. Check out chemicalfreebody.com, the homepage, like the products that they have, and absolutely need to check out the podcast. So many amazing people talking there with Tim. And yes, stay tuned and check out the Non-Conformist series on anarchapulco.com and grab your tickets. It's going to be so exciting. So many exciting people there present. So thank